everyone, I'm Sean Horish and welcome to this edition of Pulse of the Port, where we'll be checking out some truly cutting-edge technologies that are not only making the Port of Long Beach cleaner, but also more efficient. We'll also take a quick tour of the port to see all the new construction and more. But before we get started, did you know that we're one of the few ports able to handle all 4 types of cargo, making it possible for our terminals to move anything from standard containers to liquids like oil and more. While containers may carry parts for cars and other machines, the cranes you'll see in our first story definitely go outside the box. You can see them from miles away. Container cranes are the giants of the harbor, more than 200 feet tall and capable of moving tons of cargo on an almost non-stop basis. And just like the boxes they handle, they arrive as cargo. But did you know these mechanical monsters cross the Pacific fully assembled? These are the first 2 cranes to land at the new Middle Harbor Terminal, which is under construction. 14 of them will line the wharf when this $1.2 billion project is complete. And these cranes are game changers.
These new container cranes that we just delivered to the Port of Long Beach are the largest container cranes ever delivered to the United States.
Dave Zellhart has overseen the delivery and offload of more than 60 of these ship-to-shore cranes.
Most of the cranes that we've delivered on the West Coast are in the range of 1,400 to 1,500 ton. These are 2,500 ton.
The Port of Long Beach regularly handles some of the largest container vessels on the ocean, with 13 and 14,000 TEU ships calling here. These cranes are ready for those ships and anything else.
16,000, 18,000, 22,000, 24,000, whatever's on the drawing board today, this terminal can handle. This terminal is a groundbreaker on every facet.
The challenge is getting them on the ground. This ship's arrival marked the culmination of a 2-year planning process.
By the time we get done with the engineering, looking at the wharf, looking at the size of the cranes, how we're going to offload them, and everything to do with the process, it is very detailed and very involved.
Once all of the accessories and parts needed to make the cranes run are offloaded, the real fun begins. A rail system is constructed to create a bridge from the vessel to the wharf, and then workers start breaking these massive machines loose. A crew of more than 30 longshoremen and mechanics combined to tackle this daunting job.
These ships are designed with the cranes on them to where everything is either welded to the deck through pipes or held to the deck through giant shipping wires. So we have to start cutting those loose to get to the next step. The first time the guys do it, they're always on the edge of their seat. But by the end of the job, they're cutting them pretty fast. They get used to it.
With counterweights and cables attached, the move begins.
The winches on the ship equally pull as we equally let out. So we have a braking system and a pulling system, and we watch that very, very closely as the crane comes off the ship. If we get into a point that we don't like, all we do is flip the winches in the other direction and we can pull the crane right back onto the ship. So we have an exit plan all the time.
And on this day, the first crane came off safe and sound in about an hour.
It went perfectly. We had a great crew out here. As long as we've done our planning and everybody's on the same page, we're doing the same thing at the same time, it's a pretty smooth process. Really, we didn't have any mistakes. Everything went as close to perfect as it could have gone.
The size of those cranes is truly impressive. The operators will be working in a cab 165 feet high. Wow. From that vantage point, you can get a great view of all the construction that is taking place to make sure the port remains one of the most competitive and efficient in the world. It's also a great spot to see all of the dry bulk cargo we handle, materials like gypsum, salt, and cement that is imported and exported from several of our terminals. These mountains of cargo rise and fall as materials are moved from ship to shore or the other way around. So let's take a look at all the big changes going on here at the port.
Welcome to the ever-changing landscape of the Middle Harbor Modernization Project, the epicenter of all the new construction at the Port of Long Beach. Just beyond is the existing Gerald Desmond Bridge. The port has a new bridge project underway. That existing deck is about 155 feet in the air. The new deck with the new bridge is going to be over 200 feet up in the air. The towers that support that deck will rise to a staggering 520 feet. This beautiful, iconic engineering marvel will be a can't-miss addition to our city and our region. You'll be able to see it clearly from the 405 freeway, especially at night. The port isn't just building a 1.5-mile bridge connecting downtown Long Beach and Terminal Island, but also engineering a new infrastructure system. A major off-ramp has already been demolished, and the process of building a freeway interchange will soon begin to create a seamless connection to the 710 freeway. It's going to be the first cable-stayed bridge for motor vehicles in California. Most bridges of the size are suspension bridges, like the Vincent Thomas. That design requires cables to be strung over the tops of towers, then more cables attached to the bridge deck. A cable-stayed bridge is a much more economical design. The cables are strung directly from the towers to the deck. Fewer building materials are used, making it much less costly to build. What's going up is impressive, but so is what's going down. The foundation for that new bridge is going to be well over 200 feet down in the ground. And in order to prepare the foundation for the new bridge, the port had to relocate miles of utility lines and abandon many oil wells. This was a monumental challenge, as it's the first time a bridge has ever been built over an active oil field. 7-foot-wide pipes had to be forced as deep as 250 feet into the ground to seal off old wells, to make sure those wells wouldn't be in the way of the bridge's 300 support pilings. Crews will begin placing the pilings in the next few months. But the bridge project is just one of many construction projects underway at the Port of Long Beach. This is one of the new stacking cranes for the Middle Harbor project. This massive crane will span over 9 boxes wide and 6 high. The stacking cranes in use at Long Beach Container Terminal today only go 6 wide and 4 high. These 250 metric ton mega machines are a huge upgrade. 10 of these massive cranes have already rolled onto the docks here at Middle Harbor, and another 60 are on the way. All around you can see just how much has already been accomplished. 1,400 feet of new wharf was completed in the last year, with another 1,400 to be finished this year. This half-mile section will accommodate 2 of the world's largest container vessels at the same time. The North Operations Building is the first structure on the site and will house IT operations, the brains of this all-electric and ultra-green terminal. It's nearly complete and will be ready for LBCT employees to move in early this year. It's right alongside another port first, as these reefer racks will store refrigerated containers, plugging them in 8 wide and 5 high. It's a critical space saver and unique to ports on the West Coast. When it's finished, this terminal will be capable of handling 3 million TEUs each year. Today, that would rank Middle Harbor as the 4th busiest port in North America all by itself. And because most of the operation is all electric, the port is going to cut pollution in half. Construction of the Middle Harbor and the Gerald Desmond Bridge replacement projects is going strong as the Port of Long Beach builds the port of the future.
With all this construction taking place over the next few years, you might be wondering how it impacts traffic. While everything is being done to minimize disruptions, there will be some impacts. And that's why there's a new phone app you can download to keep track of road work. And while you've got your smartphone out, you might also want to visit the Port's YouTube channel, where you'll find all sorts of fun videos. One of my personal favorites shows how the port handles another type of cargo, ro-ro, or roll-on, roll-off cargo. At a ro-ro terminal, cars and construction machinery are the primary focus, as well as other odd-sized cargo like helicopters and satellites that come fully assembled. Getting back to construction though, check out this new smartphone app.
Construction of the $1.2 billion Gerald Desmond Bridge replacement project is fully underway. And the Port of Long Beach wants to make sure you are up to date 24/7 and anywhere you go. The Long Beach Bridge app is your smartphone link to every step of the project.
The bridge replacement project is a very exciting construction project for our whole community. A lot of people are very interested in this, and we want them to stay connected. The app is a great way to do that. It's a one-stop shop for all bridge news, information, videos, and much more.
This app for both iPhones, Android, and Windows devices gives you access to real-time traffic conditions, updates on lane closures, as well as audio reports in both English and Spanish.
Pico Avenida entre Broadway y la Avenida del Océano se reduce.
One of the things that we're bringing to the project are live construction cameras. And this is a way for the public to tune in live in real time, and through the Bridge app, you can access those cameras.
App users from every continent are following this internationally significant project, some even from Antarctica. It allows you to check out a complete project timeline, a list of benefits, and give you numbers to call if you have any questions.
So we think this app is going to have a lot of appeal in our local community for commuters and drivers in the local community, but it's also going to be something that's going to have worldwide appeal because you can stay in touch with our project, stay connected from Asia, Europe, anywhere that people have interest, you can stay in touch through this app.
To get this incredibly helpful resource, just search LB Bridge at the iTunes App Store on Google Play or Windows App Studio. You can also visit the full project website at newgdbridge.com.
That phone app will definitely come in handy as bridge construction continues for the next couple of years. As you might have heard, the bridge is being built over an active oil field, and that has required some innovative engineering solutions to cap off old wells and reroute utility lines. The good news is that all this underground work will have a side benefit: increased oil production. And while we don't export oil, since we use it all here, we do import oil. And those barges you see are what bring it into our terminals. Called liquid bulk, their cargo, the last of our 4 types of cargo, is what keeps all our engines running here in Southern California. And soon a new type of barge, one that helps clean up emissions from ships while they're docked, will join them. Take a look at this incredible technology that's being tested right now. 5 years ago, in 2009, a crowd of about 150 people gathered on Pier G at the Port of Long Beach as the Japanese vessel Ginga Merlin participated in the demonstration of a new technology, AMECS, or the Advanced Maritime Emissions Control System, designed to reduce air pollution produced by ships while docked at berth. The idea was simple: attach a bonnet over the exhaust stack of a ship to capture all the emissions and then scrub out the harmful pollutants.
In the simplest terms, it's like hooking up a shop vac to a ship and collecting all the emissions that go through. And that shop vac basically has a filter system in it, and what comes out of the end of it is much cleaner than what would come out if it wasn't hooked up.
The demonstration that day made it clear the technology had great promise. By routing all the captured emissions into a scrubber, much like a catalytic converter, 95 to 98% of pollutants, including nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and diesel particulate matter, were removed.
The vessel operators, I think they're recognizing that their participation in these demonstrations is going to be critical to ground truth, as well as to understand ultimately how this may be a different alternative or cost effective for them to meet regulations, or even provide an opportunity for additional emission reductions.
Now this technology is moving on to a new phase of testing, as the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners recently approved $2 million in funding, which will take the technology from land to water, placing the scrubber on a barge that can easily be moved from one dock to another instead of being landlocked.
So what we're hoping to do is take the unit, put it on a barge, and ultimately test it on the water side to have flexibility and usage in other marine terminal operations. And this is really the ultimate goal, is that we want to verify this technology. We want to be able to allow for the Air Resources Board to use this as an alternative to the shoreside power, which provides flexibility.
While shore power is now available at all the port's terminals, not all vessels are ready to plug into electricity so they can turn off their engines while docked. This AMECS solution, if found to be economically and environmentally feasible, would be open to all vessels, regardless of class, age, or size. Designed by Advanced Cleanup Technologies, a Rancho Dominguez-based developer, this new ship emission control system offers a potential solution that ports throughout the world are already keeping their eye on. Well, that's it for this edition of Pulse of the Port. But before we close, here's a quick question to see how well you've been paying attention. How many types of cargo does the Port of Long Beach handle? Here at the port, we have terminals to handle all 4 types of cargo: container, dry bulk, ro-ro, and liquid bulk, making us one of the most versatile ports in the world, a great competitive edge. If you'd like more information, check out POLB.com. But for now, I'm Sean Horish. Thanks for watching Pulse of the Port.